Professor Flagbag, I just don't understand this stupid poem you told us we had to read.
Oh, which poem would that be?
The dumb one called Divorce. All it says is, one's two spoons in bed, now tined forks, across a granite table, and the knives they have hired. How is that even a poem? It's just some guy talking about some dumb silverware.
Yes, well, I happen to think it is a very good poem. Maybe it is because I have been divorced several times.
But it doesn't rhyme or sound like a song or anything. What makes it a poem?
Well, one thing that you find in poetry is symbolism and metaphor.
What is a symbolism and a metaphor?
A metaphor is the use of one thing to describe another thing, and symbolism is the use of something to invoke a set of feelings and associations.
I don't even know what all that means.
Let's put it this way. What is the poem about?
Well, it says it is about divorce. But it is really about silverware.
Can you think of any way that silverware is like people getting a divorce?
People getting a divorce are made out of metal or sometimes plastic.
I can see that this is going to be more difficult than I imagined. Okay, let us start with this. Have you ever heard the expression, spooning?
Do I have to answer that, or can I plead the fifth commandment?
Spooning is a kind of cuddling that lovers do in bed. They nestle up to each other like spoons in a drawer.
I know that, but it is really weird to talk about it with an old professor like you.
Nonetheless, it is important to the poem. Can you think of anything else that spoons do?
My third-grade teacher could play Jingle Bells on the spoons.
Yes, other than that. What do you do with spoons?
I eat ice cream.
Very good. You use spoons for nourishment, and to eat things that taste good or are good for you. Right?
I guess.
So there are two distinct things that spoons can mean. In one sense it is something that gives you pleasure and nourishment. In another sense it represents a kind of closeness. Can you think of any way that relates to being married?
Because married people give each other pleasure and nourishment, and they're close to each other.
Very good. It seems that your parents have not wasted their entire life savings on your education after all.
Okay, so what about the forks? Why does it say they are tined?
Did you happen to look up the word, tined?
I did. It means a sharp projecting point or prong, as of a fork. So it says that a fork is fork-like. Like that was supposed to be smart or something.
Okay, but let's look at the symbolism. What are forks used for?
Eating stuff, of course.
So forks are used for the same basic purpose that spoons are, right? But how are they different?
You can't eat ice cream with a fork.
Why is that?
Because it has all of those pokey things in it.
Exactly. And what else could you do with those pokey things if you were a bad person who didn't have to worry about getting arrested?
Stab somebody.
Exactly, forks can be made into weapons. Think of a fork as a spoon that has been altered so that it can also serve as a way to hurt people.
So like this is the couple who used to be spooning each other. Now they are forking each other.
So to speak. And what about the knives?
It says that they hired knives. What does that mean? Everybody has knives. They don't have to rent them.
But what do people who are getting a divorce hire?
Private investigators.
What else?
Lawyers. Is that what the knives are? They are lawyers?
Indeed. The knife becomes yet another thing that can be used positively, but that in divorces is almost always used to cut and tear and separate. So the silverware metaphor moves from something that shows love to something that shows hatred and bitterness. Can you think of why silverware might be important here?
Is it because silverware is something that is part of a home, and a divorce is something that turns things that are supposed to be supportive and nurturing into weapons?
Emmy, that is brilliant. You are exactly right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But what about the granite table?
Good, good. What else can you think of that is granite?
Gravestones?
Ding ding ding. What does it mean that a table has been turned into a gravestone?
Wait, I can do this. Does it mean that another thing that should be part of a loving home has been turned into a symbol for death?
Yes, yes. Where have you been hiding this magnificent brain of yours all semester?
In a jar, on my desk.
Anyway, do you see what the poem means now?
But I'm still confused. Why is this a poem? Why doesn't it even try to rhyme?
It isn't rhyme or meter that make a poem a poem. It is how something uses language to surprise us. When you read a poem like this, you have to do all of the work yourself. The poet doesn't tell you what everything means. You have to put it all together yourself, and when you do, you have a moment of surprise when it all comes together and you understand what it is saying. This moment is the essence of poetry.
Yeah, okay, but it would still be better if it rhymed.